What's up, y'all? It's the Robot Watcher. Grab your binoculars because I'm back. No eval today. You got on the offensive jersey. So we are talking about the draft, but we're going to be talking about our wide receiver rankings, something I did last year. That was a pretty popular video on this channel. I'm going to be doing rankings from now until the draft, up until the day of the draft. I'm going to try to rank all positions, and then I'll try to rank sleepers in the draft, guys I think will be day 2 sleepers that could, exceed their draft positioning. Day 3 sleepers I think will exceed their draft positioning. And then we'll have the draft, and we can just talk about that and do all the post-draft stuff. So no more evals so far. I am writing articles for Cat Crave. You can go catch the evals on there. But yeah, let's get into it. I do want to shout out some honorable mentions before I get super deep into the receiver rankings. I do want to shout out Torrey Horton. He was an honorable mention. I liked him a lot. Trey Harris, Alec Io Manor didn't make this list either. If they told you this was a bad receiver group, they lied. This is a really, really good and deep receiver group. It's just not a lot of elite talent at the top. Like last year, it was a pretty deep receiver group, but you also had like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 elite guys looking back at it, kind of because I mean, you got Neighbors, you got Marv, you got Rome. I think he was basically elite. Ladd was an elite player to me. And even Brian Thomas Jr., who I was still high on, but not as high as I probably should have been. That's 5 guys right there that immediately came in and impacted, and then you got other guys outside of that. So yeah, this is just a really deep class, not necessarily elite at the top. That's all the difference is. But wide receiver 10, I got our boy Jayen Noell. He has had, I want to say he did have a top 30 visit with the Panthers, so this is an option. He's not a big guy. He's 5'10", 194, good kind of stout, but he is a 4'3" guy. He ran 4.39 at the combine. He had a pretty good Senior Bowl when I was there. I didn't watch receivers as much, but he did catch my eye a couple times. For the pros for him, to me, it's just real speed. Like, I kind of talk about this a lot with somebody later on into the video, but his speed shows on tape. Like, you knew he was fast on tape. They're using him on clear out routes, telling him to go move that safety, beat a guy deep on crossers, seam rolls, corners, posts, things like that. That's his route tree, and then of course a couple drags in here and there to kind of throw off speed. But yeah, real speed. He accelerates and gets past guys very, very quickly in the game, and he's able to sack guys easily from the slot. His XL and DCL is also another pro. That's what makes him such a good route runner. I don't know if I would say it's necessarily his footwork or anything like that. He's not that refined. That's where he's kind of stemming things in a certain way. It's just how fast he's able to accelerate and then decel and break off a route stem. It makes it very, very hard for a corner or a safety, whoever is on him, to keep up with him. So really good route runner because of that acceleration and deceleration, but he also has really, really good deep speed. His cons, he's a true slot guy. Most of his routes was from the slot. He had a couple on the outside here and there, but most of his routes was from the slot. He had, I won't say a limited route tree, but he only has certain routes that he ran, like I said, crossers, post, goes, fade balls, I should say, then a couple outs or an ends or maybe a sit route, which is fine. That's enough, but not a lot of press release. And then when I did see him, guys get hands on him, get a little physical with him, he struggled in those small amount of reps that did happen. So true slot guy, that would be one of the biggest cons. It's not the only pros and cons. I'm just doing a couple summaries, but yeah, so that's our wide receiver 10. Now y'all see how it goes. We can get through the rest of these quicker, but let's go ahead and get into the next guy. Now, wide receiver 9 is my guy, Isaiah Bond. This guy who I thought was going to be wide receiver 1. I thought he had a breakout waiting. Some of it was because of injury. Some of it was because of consistency, which we'll talk about. Some of it was quarterback play, but just a bad disaster of a season to drop in the wide receiver 9 in my rankings. But pros, the biggest one to me is, we all know he's a speed demon. He's 5'11", 180, lighter guy, but kind of tall. 4.39 speed. I think he ran 4.35 at a Senior Bowl, or at the, pro day. He ran 4.35 at his pro day, but I'll just stick with the combine time, 4.39. But the speed is on tape. And the best part about it is his route running at the top speed that he runs at. Like, he doesn't decelerate, slows down, and chops his feet to break off stems like somebody like Noel does. He's running full speed and breaks off like that. I've talked about it before. The way that he runs routes and how fast he is, it just reminds me of Jaylen Waddle. That's the only other guy that I know that can move at top speed, 4.3, 4.2 speed, and still be able to break stems off on out routes, comeback routes, post, ends, digs, things like that. He's doing that at full speed, and that just creates massive amounts of separation. And the other pro to me, is yes, he ran 4.39. It was disappointing because he swore he was running 4.1 or 4.35, whichever one you want to count. But it doesn't matter because he's the fastest player on the field every time that he steps on the field. Yes, he didn't have the fastest 40 time even on his team, but when you step on the field, nobody is moving like a football player at the same speed that he is. Yes, when guys get into a 4-point stance and do a dead sprint straight, they may be faster in track time, but doing football movements, catching the ball, running routes, things like that, nobody's going to be faster than him. He's the fastest player on the field at all times when he steps on the field, and that's what I've seen on tape. Cons, dog, you got to be consistent. Whether it was drops, whether it was disappearing in games, whether it was not necessarily running his routes at the full capability all the time, you got to be more consistent at the next level if you want to be a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. If not, he's going to be a great deep threat into your offense. Like, think of a Ted Ginn. He has better hands than Ted Ginn, but think of a Ted Ginn-esque player at worst. That's his floor to me. But he could be much more, like I said, like a Jaylen Waddle. I love him. I think he has potential to be much higher than this, but because of the consistency in the year he had, he has to be wide receiver 9. So let's get into the next guy. Wide receiver 8, another guy that I like. Jaylen Noell's teammate, Jaden Higgins. 6'4", 214, 4'4", 740. Pretty fast for his size. Pros, the smoothness in his releases, the way he releases and beat guys at the line of scrimmage, very, very nice. Good route runner because of that smoothness, but really it's mainly the releases that he wins with that I think is just the best part of his game. Also, he plays into his size, so he's very smooth of a mover. He has some good speed to him. He has great releases, but because we'll talk about the cons, not creating consistent separation, but even when he's not creating consistent separation, he plays into that 6'4" frame. He's able to go get those contested catches over guys. And like I said, the con, being a consistent separator, he doesn't have the second gear of explosiveness to kind of get away from guys, separate from guys downfield or deeper into the route, but he is a good separator at the line of scrimmage because of those releases and things like that. I think he does have upside to be a wide receiver 1, X wide receiver. This is your Drake London. I think everybody keeps calling Ted Drake London. I think this is your Drake London. But yeah, really good player. I'll just keep it short. I like him. All right, now we got a guy that I love. I talked to him at the Senior Bowl. This is one of my first player interviews. Mike Green was first and this guy was second. Our guy, Jaylen Royals. My bad. I had to kind of, figure out what was going on. Jaylen Royals, wide receiver 7. Really big, stocky guy. He looks like a running back almost. 6 foot, 205, ran a 4.4 240, really fast. And the best pro about him is he's just a explosive yak threat. He can create anything. I mean, you throw him a screen, a slant, a dig, a go. He's gonna, once he has the ball in his hands, he's gonna make a play. He's gonna make guys miss. He's gonna run through arm tackles, beat guys. As you can see with that 4.42 speed, he's able to run past guys and beat tackling angles. Really, really good yak threat. And he's very explosive, as I said, with the 40 time. He can run by guys in his routes. He's a deep threat to me because he's able to stack guys. He's also able to go and get it contested catch-wise. He's a very well put together receiver. Just reminds me of a more refined route running DJ Moore. When I talked to him, he compared himself to Deontay Johnson. And I can see that with the type of route running that he has. But to me, he just reminds me of DJ Moore. And I guess if you add, Deontay Johnson's route runner into DJ Moore, that's a scary player. So could be much higher. I argue that he should be higher with myself. But I was like, the next level of competition, he didn't produce much against very, very good schools. He played good schools, and he was okay. He had like 40 yards, 50 yards versus going for 180 against Boise State. You see what I'm saying? When he plays Utah, he has 63 yards on 4 catches. So it's like, okay. But I think that at the next level, this guy is going to be disgusting. If he falls to the second round, I could see him being a wide receiver 1, or maybe not a wide receiver 1, but like a Deebo Samuel, not play style. Even though I see some people saying that, but like Deebo Samuel is for the Niners, where he's not their wide receiver 1, but he's a very elite weapon for them in his peak, of course, not now. But yeah, I love Jaylen Royals. I'm sticking by my guy. He's very good. Wide receiver 7 could be higher. Trust me. It was an argument between him and the next guy for me because I love them both a lot more than other guys do. But let's get into the next receiver. Another guy who I won't be long-winded or spend a lot of time on, Kyle Williams, my wide receiver 6. Could be kind of wide receiver 5. When we get to number 1, we'll talk about that. But yeah, really good player. 5'11", 190, 4'4", flat, 40 time. Releases is his best thing. I mean, he's able to I talked to him. He said he watched a lot of Stevie Johnson, Devontae Adams, guys like that, to kind of model his game after, so that lets you know his releases. Really good yak threat, surprisingly for his size. Really explosive yak threat. Go watch the video I did on him if you want to see a full eval on him. I got I think it's like 15-20 minutes long if you want to see a full breakdown of him with tape and everything. Late breakout will be his biggest con. He is a fifth-year player, or maybe a fifth-year player, and he never really had a explosive season until this year. Yeah, like 600 yards the year before. But yeah, really good player. So go watch that eval I did on him so you can learn more. I know he's getting a lot of hype now. I've been hyping him up for 3 months now, since like January, December. So yeah, really good player. I liked him last year too, but yeah. Into the next guy. Had to take a little break in between because the Yankees is just going off on Nestor Cortez right now. But yeah, wide receiver 5. This guy I already talked about. Once again, I have an eval up on him. I'll have both those videos linked at the end of this thing. Maybe all 3 because I got a TED video too. But Emeka Egbuka, sorry. Pros. His hands are really, really good. He has really, really solid, really stick-em hands almost. Catches everything that's thrown his way, basically. Really reliable guy. Footwork and the tempo of his routes, he's really refined as a route runner. Really like a veteran route runner, basically. In his cons, he's a slot DB, he's a slot wide receiver, but the physicality or physical DBs that I've seen him go up against, he did struggle a little bit with that. But 6'1", which is surprising. He doesn't look 6'1", but 6'1", 202, 4.5's range for the 40 time, because he ran it at his pro day, didn't run at the combine, and they don't have necessarily an official number I didn't see, but it was somewhere like 4.45 to 4.5, somewhere in there. But I could see like 4.5 speed, maybe high 4.4s on his tape too, so I'll say somewhere in the 4.5s. But yeah, let's get into the next guy. Go watch that video if you want to see a full eval on him and Kyle Williams. There's no need for me to keep wasting my time re-saying the same thing. We can go get those views up. You feel me? But yeah, let's get into the next guy. Wide receiver 4. This is a guy that I have not been able to do a full eval on. Maybe I'll write about him. But this is a guy that I didn't necessarily see. I seen the hype because he is pretty good, and Luther Burden, that is, of course. He is pretty good, but I have reservations that I want him to prove to me this year. He didn't necessarily prove to me this year, but it wasn't necessarily because of him. It was more quarterback play, injury, things like that. Kind of like an Isaiah Bond. But he did have a little bit better of a year. So pros for him, he's a playmaker with the ball in his hands. You get him the ball, he's going to turn, kind of like I said with Jaylen Royals, but he's doing it at an SEC level. Like I think he had like 1,400 yards last year as a sophomore, and then this year I think he only had like 600. But he's a playmaker with the ball. They manufacture him touches, whether it's out of the backfield, slot, giving him screens, things like that. They literally handed the ball off to him, and gave him like Texas routes out of the backfield just to get him the ball, swing routes out of the backfield. He makes plays when the ball is in his hands. Simple as that. And then the next thing, kind of like what I was saying with what's my guy Jayen Noell, towards his route running more so for Jayen Noell than it is for Luther Burden. His excel and deceleration is disgusting. Like the way he's able to just stop on the dot. Now Luther Burden shows it more in his yards after catch and when the ball is in his hands. But when he has the ball and he's able to just stop on the dime and then speed up immediately and get past a certain angle, it's just simply disgusting. When you see that turf flying up behind the guy's foot, that's how you know like they are really going. Like he's one of those guys. And I'll be interested to see at the next level, can that translate over into his route running? Because if it does, like it does for Jayen Noell, he's going to be disgustingly dirty for me. So yeah, 6 foot, 206, 4'4", 140 time. He is an explosive athlete. And then the only con that I have for right now is I need to see a bigger route tree sample size to see him be a real wide receiver. That was always my beef. I felt like it was always manufactured touches out of the slot. I want to see, hey, can you be a outside guy? Can you line up outside and go win with a regular route tree, or do we need to treat you like Rashee Rice? And if that's okay, if we do, that's okay, because that's a very valuable player. He's wide receiver 1 on the Chiefs, and a very, very good player and a very, very good rookie, which is fine. But I need to know, are you this outside wide receiver? Because if you are, I can see him being wide receiver 1. I can see him being wide receiver 2. But if you're only this slot manufactured touch guy, you're Rashee Rice, where you're getting these RPOs, getting these spot bubble routes, things like that only, and just kind of manufacture you getting the ball, but you're really, really good at it. You're not a Cordell Patterson. Like I said, closer to Rashee Rice. And okay, you're a wide receiver 4 or 5, somewhere around there. But a guy that I do like what I've seen, I just wanted to see more, and I didn't get to see that. So shout out to Luther Burden, but let's move on to the next guy. And as I get into this next guy, I realize we're starting to get more to the SEC guys. There will be no tape for those guys. I didn't have any for Isaiah Bond either, because the SEC will take this video down. Not take the video down, but will say no monetization on this video, and there's no need for me to do all this work and not make no money. So blame the SEC. But yeah, wide receiver 3, Matthew Golden, Texas wide receiver. He has his masters in route running. He is so good with his feet, the tempo of his routes, the way he's able to. He has super quick, nimble feet. Also, he's just able to dance around the guy and get open. Very, very good at route running. Also, he's a big play threat. It seems like whenever Texas had made a big play or needed a big play, he was the guy to go get it, whether it's downfield, whether it's kind of an intermediate first down type of thing. He was able to go make that play. But I think he could be better with his yak. That's the biggest con I have. Not the only one, once again, but that is the biggest con I have, where I'm like, okay, he is a very, very good player. He's getting open consistently. He has good hands. He's able to make plays downfield. But the yak, I'm like, it's leaving a lot of, meat on the bones, a lot to be desired for a guy that's 5'11", 191 and ran a 4.29. Now, this is what I was talking about with Isaiah Bond when I was like, hey, he's the fastest player on the field no matter what. Yes, this guy ran a 4.29, but he does not play with that 4.29 speed. If you need an example, the reason that the Panthers fans now are still saying we need speed, we need a deep threat, we need yak, somebody like Xavier Leggett, who has 4.39 speed, but didn't necessarily play at that speed like somebody like Jayen Noell. You see what I'm saying? Same speed, but Jayen Noell, you can see, is consistently separating deep by 5 yards. That's not necessarily Leggett's game. Same with Matthew Golden. I don't see 4.29 speed on tape. Now, he says that wasn't his job in the offense. True, it wasn't. So maybe this in there, but that's not what I seen on tape. I wouldn't bet on it happen at the next level. Still a very good player. Separates very easily. So let's get into the next guy. Ted, I've already done a eval on this guy. He's wide receiver 1 if you're not counting the next guy, which we'll talk about, who you should already know is Travis Hunter. So if we don't count Travis Hunter as a wide receiver, somebody drafts him as a corner, Ted's going to be your wide receiver 1. Everybody moves up the list. That's all I was talking about. Kyle Williams being wide receiver 5 if you take a certain guy off, even though he's wide receiver 6 right now because he's on there. So I did a full eval on Ted already. If you want to see that, go watch it. Pretty good video. I liked it. Still stand by a lot of stuff I said in there. Smoothness for his size. Really, really smooth player. He's a former basketball player, so that's why. And then yak ability, I feel like that's his most underrated trait. That's what really separates him from those Drake London, Jaden Higgins comps. I think this guy's a super good yak threat. He reminds me of Nico Collins as a yak guy. But I think he just needs to refine his routes to get better. That's one of his biggest cons. But yeah, 6'4", 219, 4.45 40 time because he ran it at a pro day or at a workout. So no specific time. Some people said 4.47. Some people said 4.53. Some people said 4.5 flat. Who knows? Somewhere in there though. High 4.4s, high 4.5s. I mean low 4.5s. But yeah, really good player. Go watch the eval if you want to learn more about him. But yeah, now the last guy I'm gonna talk about, I did do an eval on him, but I do want to add a couple things because I think he got much better. This is a preseason eval. I think he got much better into the season. But Travis Hunter's our wide receiver 1. I think this is a generational talent at wide receiver. Corner, he's really, really good too. I think he's a great corner, elite corner. But I think this is generational talent at wide receiver. His acceleration when it comes to yak, when it comes to route running, deep threat, all of that stuff is generational. The way he's able to just get going. I don't know what his 40 time is. I don't know, 6 foot, 188. He also played corner, so he knows a lot of the makeup that they have going on. And the concentration, I'll talk about this in the first eval. Concentration in his hands to be able to pull in these tough catches where guys are draped all over him at such a small size. It reminds me a lot of Devontae Smith. Same thing with Kyle Williams. He has that ability too, but y'all go watch the eval and learn about that. Same thing as Devontae Smith to me. He plays above his size because of that concentration and the great hands he has. The acrobatic ability to be able to, make contorted catches and things like that. I think this guy he could be an all-pro wide receiver in year 1 if somebody drafts him to play full-time wide receiver. He's that good. The con that I have for him at wide receiver, the only thing It's not many, by the way, but the biggest one for me, it will be tread on his tires, just because he's played so many snaps. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? Is those soft tissue injuries going to start catching up to him in the league, especially if he's trying to play both sides of the ball? I don't know. But a lot of tread on his tires, but this is a generational talent. I know I said it wasn't a lot of generational or elite talent at the top of the class, but this is the one. Him and then Ted is a generational. He's like an elite talent. I think he's like Brian Thomas Jr. Level of a prospect for me last year, how I viewed him last year. But yeah, Travis is that guy to me. But yeah, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Let me know which rankings you want to see next. I'm probably going to have it out towards the end of this week. So let me know now which rankings you want to see, and I can start those. Let me know where would you rank these receivers. Give me your list in the bottom. Who am I too high on? Who do you think didn't make the list, was a snub? Do all of that stuff in the comments. Share the video. Turn on the post notifications, because we ramping up. Trying to do 2 videos a week up until the draft. So appreciate y'all boys for tapping in. I'm out. I'll see y'all sometime this week.